Beach.
Old Mission
Old
Beach. Is
Mission.
it still there?
There was new, yeah, Old Mission, yeah. In fact, we used to go up and they had the Old Mission Beach Athletic Club group. And they had rings, those high-wide rings, you know, and you swing out and do flips off of them.
Oh,
And
uh-huh,
sand, you know,
right.
and all that stuff. Yeah, that was fun. But then we had 3 or 4 volleyball courts that took up, and then we always had round robins, and you took on the winner. It was 2-men volleyball, and you win. You stay as long as you can win, and then when you have to get out, and then somebody else gets in, but you get in line. You always come in, put your name in, play the winners. And Bob Peterson and I went through a whole Saturday and Sunday without losing.
Oh my gosh.
You know, we started on Saturday morning and we never lost until Sunday afternoon.
No kidding.
Just one of those days, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
was
must
due
have
to
been
my
fun.
ability to play
Yeah, of
volleyball.
course, your ability, definitely. Not. He was probably holding you back.
One of the things, then we not only had the 2-men tournaments and 2-men, but we had 4-men too also. But that was a tough game because when you made a mistake, you got sanded.
You got sand. Oh,
sanded.
oh.
So if you made a mistake, what you had to do is get down on your knees and put your head down.
Oh,
and
no.
the guys got around you and piled in sand. You just sanded you to death if you made a mistake.
That would really
you need to
make
after
you want
that.
to avoid a mistake.
Yeah, you need to go back in the water and get all the sand off you.
My God. So this would be an all-day, all-weekend thing.
Yeah.
And
But,
what did Nan and Papa think of this?
well, they didn't seem to mind, you know.
Where did the surfboard go?
In the garage.
Oh, so you had a garage. I thought you were in an apartment.
We lived in that house on First Street.
First Street.
First Street, and we had that old house that was built back in about 1925, and it had 5 garages in it. We used to have carriages in there, so that's what we used. It was open. It wasn't a closed garage. It was just 5 units where they kept carriages.
No kidding.
Yeah,
on First Street.
On First
I
Street.
thought so. You weren't in an apartment at this point. You were in a house on First Street with carriages in the back. Carriage houses.
Yeah, and then after that, it just had them in the backyard when I left the place on First Street.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then, let's see. And then, of course, the one nice part about it, I finally got my Ford convertible and top down with a board hanging out, and all the ladies always wanted to ride home.
The Ford convertible. What year was that?
Oh, let's see. I got that in 51.
And what year was the Ford?
49.
It was a 49? So it was a pretty new car. How'd you afford that?
Well, I worked all these foster frees and all this stuff.
Foster frees.
Yeah.
It's still a chain.
Yeah.
All these years later.
Foster frees, and I worked at the bakery up in Hillcrest, cleaning up everything. I had several jobs.
How did you manage to go to school, work at the 2 jobs, and surf?
Well, it wasn't easy.
That's a lot.
Then,
That's
then,
a lot.
In the summer of, the summer of '52, when I was, summer of '52, before graduation, or after graduation, I got a job at Convair down in San Diego, and I had the early morning shift, 6 till 2.
Oh, really?
I was hired as a metallurgist.
Oh.
My job was to test for tensile strength and so forth, aluminum that we're building airplanes with.
Oh, so you're responsible for tensile strength?
Yeah.
What sort of credential did you have for that?
Well, I don't know. I just, I had mathematics.
Do you think were there any crashes that resulted?
No, actually, there was one exciting moment when I'd been on the job a while. I was doing my tensile strength and all that, and they had this huge machine that you put in these samples in, and then you did the tensile and stretch and so forth, and then you figured out mathematically, if it was
Wow!
proper.
So you were really being an engineer.
Yeah, and so one day, I was doing my job, and then everything was going well, and then one day, somehow or other, I did all the specs on it, and it failed. this shipment failed. And I said, well, that can't be right, you know. So I did it again, and it still failed. So I called my boss, and I said, look, you know, I'm only a kid, you know, just out of school. And I said, maybe you better check this, because my figures showed this shipment failed, tensile strength.
Wow.
And he said, oh, well, that's okay, let me check it. And all of a sudden he said, you know, Jim, you're right.
Oh my gosh.
Passed. So he got on the phone immediately, and they canceled the use of like
Wow.
$20,000 worth of aluminum.
And you could have saved a bunch of lives.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I was the hero.
The hero.
The word went around. This young squirt from
Oh
San Diego
my
High
gosh.
School graduate, he's failed a shipment. That's
Oh
the first
my
time
gosh.
this has happened in years.
Wow. And probably never by someone your age,
Yeah.
you know.
So anyway,
Wow.
well, I was sure that I, you know, miscalculated or something.
No.
But this guy was, you know, an old professional.
Wow.
He said, you're right, this thing didn't pass.
Well, thank God you were there. You saved lives that day.
So anyway, I was talk of the area for a while.
Well, we are at the California Surf Museum in Oceanside looking at Dad's past in the surf culture, where he was an early adopter of the surf culture. I just taken some pictures of the Hobie Altar exhibit, where I've decided that he was the Steve Jobs of his time. He was going to develop a world or a business